All right, so two local journalists have gone rogue, one at a CBS affiliate, another at a Fox affiliate, which again proves that the mainstream media, regardless of the corporation, I believe it's just six corporations running the show. And by the way, some people on the left understand this too, that this information monopoly is destroying just public discourse and the ability for people to get both sides of a story so they can decide. Remember when Fox News, they dropped their thing that they did, fair and balanced, we report, you decide. Notice how they got rid of that a couple of years ago. I thought that was a pretty good slogan. I don't know if it was necessarily true, but what they were saying is, look, we're not a left-wing outlet. We will report and then you will decide. Now, they may have a slant the way they report it, but they're not telling you what to think necessarily unless you're watching, say, Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham. There are a few shows on there that are opinion-based shows, but the viewers kind of know where those shows are coming from. The point being is that the local news media is really where the action is because people want to know what's going on in their community. My wife and I, we wake up, we have the coffee, I turn on Wink News, which is just, it's a comatose channel. It's COVID, 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 and disaster, variants, COVID, COVID. We had a tropical storm that missed Florida, went up, through Mississippi or whatever, and it was as if we'd never heard of a tropical storm before. I did a little video about, looking at Twitter, how wet roads caused this chain reaction car accident, and they blamed it on Tropical Storm Claudette, not the wet roads, which roads get wet for many reasons other than hurricanes and tropical storms. They get wet when a thunderstorm or a rain shower comes over. Anyway, and when it snows down south too, that's typically a big deal, and there's a chain reaction, and a lot of times people die in car accidents. But they basically said, Claudette kills 13. And it sounds like Claudette is a woman with an AR-15 somewhere. But this is the news. I turn it on, I watch it, and I get my wife's like, why do you do this to yourself? Well, I need to wake up. I got the caffeine, and now, the circulation is going. The veins are beginning to pop out. And at this point, I just do it almost as if to kind of monitor how nuts and crazy the world has become. And there's no turning back from that. Unless there are more reporters like these two courageous reporters. Now, look, I really don't care if you don't like Project Veritas. It's kind of like not liking Trump. It's not what this is about. This is about saying, okay, I'm going to tell my story. And it's not like these women are going to make lots of money quitting their jobs. They're going to need GoFundMe pages or GoSendMe or whatever it's called. There's an alternative page, I think, now where you can donate where they won't shut it down. Whereas if GoFundMe finds out it's something that's like a truth-telling thing, they will shut it down. They will say, no, you can't use our site to fundraise. And it's like, wow, that's how bad it's getting. I mean, banks are cutting off certain people from doing commerce because of their political views. And this has been going on since the first guy got banned from everything. And you know who that is. And I'm not going to mention his name, but it's something to do with information and warfare. I'll just say that. You can figure it out for yourself. I know you already know. But as wacky as people think he is, which I'm not going to say he's not, the point is free speech was disrupted at that point. At that point, they were willing to go in on this guy and say, look, we're going to make an example of you, and then we're coming for other people. By the way, they come for people on the left, too. It's not just the right. They'll come for truth tellers on the left who are calling out the military-industrial complex or calling out our obsession with, what's the word or term I'm looking for here, where we go in, regime change. Yeah, we're interested in regime change in places like Venezuela And the news doesn't report that because the news basically looks at the military industrial complex as an untouchable subject. It's a topic that, whoa, no, we trust in the military, just like we trust in Pfizer and Moderna. We trust in all of these. Remember when the rock and rollers in the late 60s said, don't trust anybody over 30? We need some of that sentiment back in our society. We need skepticism. And what these reporters did, what they did was basically come out and say, look, our bosses are not allowing us to speak the truth. They have a narrative, and we can see that narrative. And when things become hard to get at, like there were a certain group of doctors last year that did a little speech, and then all of a sudden couldn't find them anymore. Their video was gone. All the information was gone. You couldn't get to it. Well, you could, but you had to work at it. And I think a lot of people over the last 12 months or so have started to gravitate toward other platforms. So the libertarian argument here might be working to some degree, although again, when you've got a corporation that's in bed with the government, then to me, that's not a private company. These other companies who aren't in bed with the government are more like private companies, but they're not the ones doing the collusion. So I say, yeah, you have to regulate the crap out of anybody who is basically tied directly to the government. And again, I think what these women want, these reporters, is they want some freedom. They want to be able to talk about things. It's very cathartic to be able to tell someone the truth after you've been muzzled for so long, especially if the truth that you want to tell might save lives. It really might. And this is what I learned last year. Again, if you're a fan of Donald Trump and you think last year was all about getting rid of Donald Trump, it's hard for me to sit here and disagree with you. It's just hard for me to do that between the way the election went down, the lockdowns, the mail-in ballots, all of these different things. You sit here and you go, wow, this looks very well orchestrated to me. And if it's not, and if it has nothing to do with that, and these are all just mere coincidences, you could say that all day long, and I'm just going to shake my head at you and disagree. There's too many just, lame coincidences. And for those of you who would like to see, a new political movement out there, the new grassroots movement is happening right now. A lot of people are missing it. They're missing it at the school board. They're missing these reporters defecting from their television stations. They're missing people wanting to be precinct captains in their local district, their polling places and so forth. They want to be part of the solution. They want to be able to take the system back over. And the only way you can do that is at the grassroots. And then you've got to vote for people who are going to audit everything, whether it's the Federal Reserve, whether it's the way we vote, whether it's, other government entities, the military, everything needs to be on the books so we can see it. And if we can't see it, then that's just naked corruption, and it needs to end immediately. We need to vote people into office who care. I don't even really care about their politics as much as I care about, are they going to hold people accountable for dishonesty, for lying, for being on the take from whoever. I mean, the lobbyists, everybody needs to go. I mean, it all needs to be shut down, and we need to be able to have transparency like we've never had it before. But activism is key, and I salute these reporters for doing something that I hope creates a domino effect. Because if it does, this will happen very quickly, where real alternative media will be a thing, because people will see, hey, there's something wrong here because these people are credible, and nobody is going to go after their integrity will still be destroyed, because that's anybody who comes forward and goes against the grain, they're going to get destroyed. In both cases, whether it was a corporate person, which in the case of the Fox reporter, um, basically said, don't come back, and I can't believe you did that, to a peer who was an engineer at the radio station who went after the meteorologist and basically told her that she was crazy and that he would recommend that she gets fired. That's this. When you have friends like this, people, you don't need enemies. You really don't. These are supposed to be people you trust. And, I understand why people record phone calls now, because it's just, who do you trust in the world right now? I don't trust anybody. I trust my family, and that's about it. So in any event, it's still really fun and delicious and entertaining to watch these local reporters going on air and just and they know they're going to get fired, and they do it anyway. You know why? Because they love the truth, and they actually probably went and studied real journalism at one point. And this, for the most part, across the board, on the major media, is not real journalism.